What is up? We are live, I hope. Random stream. I just put it up. I put some of it in the Discord, but I'm running super late because I came back from a Nicholas Draper Ivy signing for Batman Beyond and Static, which was really exciting. So sorry about the lateness, but I'm here. I'm getting everything set up. I'm about to put this in my Discord so that hopefully people show up, but I don't know. We'll see if people do, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to talk comics, everything I'm excited about, everything that I've read over the past couple weeks. I just got Armored, which is really cool. Something a friend of mine, Mike Schwartz, wrote. My podcast, Bada Boom podcast, I think on issue 4, issue 5, there's a quote from the podcast, which is really cool to kind of have like the outlet in print. So they just came back with issue 6. So I'm excited to get this in hand and actually like read it. I'm just a physical reader, so I'm really excited to read that. Obviously, talked about this book, Static and Batman Beyond, signed by Nicholas Draper Ivy, which is really cool. Midtown Comic had a signing, and what sucked is that the downtown store always makes you wait outside, and it's getting a little cold. Not fun, but whatever. But yeah, what you guys been up to? Let's see. Oh, one viewer. Ooh. Let's see if anyone else jumps in. Can you hear me? Whoever is there, and if you can, let me know in the chat. But again, I am going to actually put this in the chat and the Discord. Let's go. But yeah, I actually read the book on the train. I was a little disappointed because I was hoping that there'd be more Static and Batman Beyond in the book together, but I think it's setting up a lot of the different things, so I'm gonna give it a really good shot. But I was a little disappointed because I was super hyped about the book, and I think I kind of may have set my expectations way too high for a book where you're bringing two characters together who haven't been together in a really long time. There was, I think, a tease in one of the Milestone books a while ago, but they haven't been together. It's a different version than the version we saw in the animated series, so they have to kind of set up that dynamic. So there's a lot of things that they have to kind of get through before actually sort of diving into the story, which I kind of understand. There was some cool stuff, like you got to see Icon, Superman, the Justice League of the Batman Beyond universe, which I always loved when they appeared in that show. Some of my favorite episodes were those episodes. So there's cool things, but again, I was hoping for like nothing but Static. And I guess I maybe like in my head sort of thought of a story where like maybe like everything would kind of bring these characters together where they'd be in costume all the time. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a reference of a movie or a book that I've seen like that where two characters kind of have to go through like, these insane scenarios and all that. But this is not that type of book, which is fair, and I'm going to give it a really good shot because I love the characters. They're a really important part of my sort of comic book journey and getting into the world of DC Comics. So I'm giving it a good shot, but I did not love issue 1. But again, cool to get it signed by Nicholas Draper Ivy, which is again super cool. I got this cover, and then I also got the main cover A, if I can find it. Where is it? There it is. So cover A, and then the Raza cover, which honestly was what got me super hyped. This cover is one of the best covers of the year. They just killed it on that. And then I got a couple other books. It's the end of Mr. Terrific Year 1, which is really sad. I think this has been one of the great surprises of the year. Al Letson was a writer I was not familiar with, and I was kind of always like, Mr. Terrific was cool, and then Superman came out and obviously shot that character to a new stratosphere. So it's really dope to have a book to kind of be out at the same time that matches sort of that hype in terms of like, hey, I want to read Mr. Terrific and I want to read a really good story, and this does a great job of establishing new things about Terrific's origin. So I think in years to come, if they ever do a Mr. Terrific television series or a movie, this is probably, when it's collected, going to be the book that gets recommended the most for fans looking to get into Mr. Terrific. Dope. We already talked about Armored, and then one of the Ultimate books I actually really like is Ultimate Wolverine. I know a lot of people don't like Ultimate Wolverine for one reason or another. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's kind of traditional Wolverine, you know, and I think people feel like the existence of this book is Marvel saying that they don't support Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men, which I could kind of see where the fans get frustrated of Ultimate X-Men, because they're like, hey, like, the reason we like this book and the reason the Ultimate Universe, this new version of it, exists is to give us different versions of the characters we know. And this is legit. Like, yeah, he's the Winter Soldier and all that, but this is kind of like classic Wolverine in a lot of ways. And I like the book because honestly, the mainline Wolverine book, I've tried, I can't get into it, and this I love it. I still like Ultimate X-Men, but I think this book is dope. And some of the things that are happening in terms of like character deaths and some of the revelations and changes in the lore, I'm not too mad about, especially considering that they're ending the Ultimate Universe in like 6 months. So characters dying and all that, it should kind of feel like, hey, this universe is kind of climaxing in some ways. So I'm not mad at it based on what's going on at Marvel where they're ending this universe. So I actually really like this book. Chris Condon is one of my favorite writers out right now. I like their Green Arrow. Some of their other stuff that they've done is really good. So I think this book definitely gets a bad rap, and I feel like people hate it just because of what they feel it says about Marvel's feelings about Ultimate X-Men versus what the book actually is. The book is, it's not too different than any of the other Ultimate stuff in terms of like, hey, you have these characters that lived in a really fucked up world and have to deal with crazy circumstances and their life sucks. And that's Ultimate Wolverine. So I don't understand. I kind of get it, but I think that it's just, I don't know. I feel like people hate it because it's cool to hate it versus like actually reading the book. I think people see preview pages and all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, you have like Capuccio art, Alessandro Capuccio, who is amazing. Like, look, and then the like, you know, spoilers, but look at like the art in this book is just awesome. Like, it's great. It's a great comic. I feel like I'm defending it when you should just read it. Read it for yourself. Don't listen to what's going on online when it comes to this book because it's awesome. In terms of other stuff, I did not. It was a pretty light new comic book day for me. I think lately it's been getting lighter and lighter. Funny enough, I think DC, what they've been putting out is really sort of like thin as well. Like, I think a lot of their stuff, you know, it's like 4 or 5 books a week, which is good, you know. And I think Marvel, like when I go to the Marvel side of the comic, like they are just doing way too much. There's so many different like one shots, new number ones, that I ignore all of it outside of the Ultimate Universe. It's so hard to kind of follow and be like, wait, like which version of Venom are we in and here and there? Like there's just very little to kind of latch on to. And even as like a comic person that like, let's say I didn't know anything about what's going on at Marvel and how a lot of stuff is a mess, going on that side of the wall, you know, and being like, where do I even begin? Like, none of this, like, again, it's with DC, you're like, oh, here's the absolute stuff. There's a Batman book that's like on issue 3. It looks like they have a second printing of issue 1 if I want to kind of go back and read that and all that. But yeah, it's just so hard. And, you know, with the news that Brian Michael Bendis is coming back to the Avengers, I think that'll be fun. That'll be something that I hopefully could latch on to. But not really much on that end. It's really indies and DC and also manga. I just got volume 4 and volume 5 of Kagurabachi, which is the best manga out right now. I think on the Shonen app, the volume or chapter 11 just came out. Chapter 100, sorry. So it just hit that sort of like that milestone. and I am glad that the hype is really there for that book because it's so good. And every volume I'm reading, it just escalates, and it's kind of one of those things that kind of like makes me wish that American comics could kind of learn from that kind of storytelling of like something new with new characters that isn't afraid to, create like threatening villains and new worlds. So if you haven't, read Kagurabachi. One of my favorite people that I've met during this YouTube journey, they really recommend that. They've done some videos on that. I think they might come out with some more stuff. If you haven't, please subscribe to them if they come in the chat. Hopefully, I think right now it's just me, but I committed to doing this live stream, and I feel like I have to be consistent with this kind of stuff. I've been consistent on the social media with YouTube. It's been up and down ever since the summer because my son was home and now he's back in school, so like it's been picking up a little bit. I was able to put out a lot of stuff related to New York Comic Con, but not where I want to be. I want to go back to doing sort of like 2-3 videos a week on like comic news and reviews and stuff like that, because I think it really is fun. And I think meeting a lot of people that are like-minded, that don't always like, and this happens in not just comic spaces but a lot of spaces, it's just like pure like negativity just to be negative. And it's negative to the point where you feel like, hey, are people even reading these books that they're talking about? When I'm negative, hopefully when I'm not in the like space of being like, oh, like I didn't really like this, I try to be, kind of have the other side of it and be like, hey, and also sort of like tell you why I didn't really like it. So I really like doing reviews. I'm gonna get back to that more consistently. Oh wow, shock. Batman Beyond got it signed, got Hush 2, Jim Lee art, and sad that Red Hood and Huntress story had to go. I I'm not too sad. I read it. Actually, funny enough, I went into the shop after it got canceled, and they kind of had to pull like all the issues off the wall and stuff. And the person at the comic shop, they let me sort of like take a look at it and read it, before. And I was like, I think the book would not have done well even if it survived that cancellation. So I think in some ways, hey, Batman Hush 2, Jim Lee art is the only reason anyone's really buying it. I kind of fell off after the third issue in that story arc. I think that was probably like Batman 160. What are we on? 161, 162? I don't know with the delays and stuff. But yeah, it just felt like a book out of time. I really appreciated them sort of like putting it actually in the Batman line so that it could lead into the Batman relaunch. But because Jim Lee is Jim Lee, the book got delayed, and yes, it gave it like I think a boost in sales because Batman #1 was probably the biggest book of the year, behind like above Hush 2. But I think they didn't execute quite well on the quality of the story and obviously getting it out on time so that it can relaunch and make sense, because now you have a Batman book that's on issue 3 and then you have Batman 160 whatever. Uh, but yeah, sucks. I'm glad. Yeah, Batman Beyond, Static Shock, such a good cover, such a good. I think I have from this artist also a Mr. Terrific book that was also another great cover. So they're really killing it when it comes to that, and I appreciate you commenting and not making me feel like, hey, someone's here. I'm gonna go to League of Comic Geeks and see what other books came out this week that I probably missed out on. Again, when I was at the shop, it didn't feel like there was anything crazy out, but we'll see. New comics. Oh, Batman Dark Patterns. I should have gotten that. Transformers 26. It was really cool. I got to interview Dan Moore and Robert Kirkman at New York Comic Con. Energon stuff is really cool. But yeah, again, Batman Dark Patterns is. It's crazy how many good Batman books out there. Aquaman #11. It was funny running into Jeremy Adams at New York Comic Con, and like sort of them telling me sort of what they've been going through because a certain character is no longer with us from the world of Aquaman. But they're great. They're all always super awesome. I've had the pleasure of interviewing them, so I'm glad that I love that book. It's cool to see Aquaman cool again, like in the Jeff Johns run. But I can see why people got upset. Beneath the Trees, Rite of Passage. That is a good book. Red Coat, Ghost Machine, good stuff. Again, kind of like light, nothing too crazy that I can think of. There's a lot of Star Wars stuff, and it seems like IDW has like not Batman, a Godzilla book out every week, which is insane. Some of them are really good, but there's just way too many of them to kind of like latch onto. Um, Gargoyles X Fantastic Four. Is this the second printing or the first? Uh, and what's crazy, I think they kind of undercut that crossover, the Gargoyles Fantastic Four crossover, because today on the DC Infinite app they dropped a Fantastic Four The Flash crossover, which was also written by Jeremy Adams. So if this was the launch of Gargoyles Fantastic Four, that sucks. Because I am definitely going to be reading the other crossover. Thundercats Panthro, who's writing that one? That actually looks cool. Ed Bresson, who is also a really great writer and also got into an interview. Uh, Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum, I've heard really great things. I actually do have to check that out because I've just heard so many good things. I think it's by the creative team behind Ice Cream Man, which is also I've heard great things about that I haven't really checked out. So I am behind on a lot of things. Something that I was surprised that people were coming into like for was the Predator Badlands prequel comic. That was like when I was in the store for the signing, people were asking about that book. But I didn't buy it because I haven't seen Predator Badlands yet, and I'm hoping to see it this weekend. So we just spoke about Godzilla, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X Godzilla. Yeah, IDW really loves their Godzilla. Escape the Dead Zone Godzilla, that actually looks pretty good. If I can catch up on the other Godzilla stuff that's out, maybe I'll check that one out. Hellboy and the BPRD, The Ghost Ships of Labrador. Is this actually written by Mignola? Yeah. Rob Williams. Artist Lawrence Campbell. I really like the Hellboy stuff. It was either on Global Comics or one service that I pay for comics that I got into a Hellboy like binge, and it was fantastic. I get why Hellboy is really popular, and obviously like he's had several movies, and Guillermo del Toro is like one of the goats. And I actually like the Crooked Man, the reboot prequel they kind of did recently. That was like an indie movie, and it looked like the trailer was like, oh my god, this could be terrible, and actually it was pretty solid. It kind of felt, honestly, after I read Hellboy comics, it felt more like Hellboy than Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy. And I think Guillermo does a great job of imprinting his style onto things, and I'm excited to see what he does with Frankenstein. So I'd always assumed, and yes, there's like he clearly like took a lot from Mignola's like original work and stuff like that, but it's so much of Guillermo del Toro's like style and mind that I think Crooked Man, if you read actual Hellboy comics, feels like vibe wise and also kind of story wise much more in line with what the actual Hellboy comics are. And I don't know if like that's the sort of like sentiment for that movie overall, but when I was watching it after being on that binge of Hellboy comics, that's what I felt. Spider-Man Torn. I have no idea what that is. Spider-Man 94, number 3. I told myself I was going to get into that, and then I think I bought a special cover and then never went back to it. So I am way too behind. Marvel Knights: The World to Come. That is funny because I even made a video about issue one, and it seemed like the whole world was going crazy about issue one, including myself. And then issue two came out, and nobody cared. Which is funny, kind of how that goes. But I do want to kind of follow up on that story and see where it goes. Christopher Priest is obviously a legend. I really like Superman Lost. And that's about it in terms of stuff that I would check out. Action Comics 1092, Mark Waid's Superboy story. There's also Ultimate Black Panther number 22. Uh, I was talking about Ultimate Wolverine earlier, and I think Ultimate Black Panther is very much like Ultimate Wolverine, where it's giving you classic Black Panther because the mainline book is not that popular, or it's gotten, I don't even think there's a mainline Black Panther book going on right now. But it's giving you like sort of what like fans want and readers want, and sort of like that classic. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There should be a way for you to chart forward, and I think that's what Ultimate X-Men is. It still exists, and it's going to go on longer than the actual Ultimate Wolverine book. Ultimate X-Men by the end will probably be like 24 issues. Ultimate Wolverine will probably be 16 or something like that. So I think there's space for both, and I think Ultimate Black Panther is a great example of like giving people what they want, and it's still fun. Like, it's in the end, it's comics. It should be entertaining. But yeah, that's pretty much it for new comics. I coming up, I think I have some ideas for some videos that I definitely have to record and actually like make them. I'm still doing a lot of shorts and social media stuff, so be sure to check that out. If you showed up, wow, you did. I appreciate you. Hopefully, I could get back on a cadence of doing like weekly shows so that people know when to come. But I think I owed it to you guys. I said I was gonna go live today, or I asked to go live. So I felt like I ran home after that signing, and had to get my son some food and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, like I gotta go live. So I appreciate you all. Let me know what you read this week on New Comic Book Day, what videos you'd like to see. Be sure to hit me up on Instagram. I'm really responsive there, so try to follow me. And then, if you're trying to like, hey, like, where's the videos been? Hit me up on there.